not ideal.
Not ideal, but not the worst that could happen. Today on the Morning Edition, we'll bring you the dramatic video as a full plane of passengers suddenly loses power over the Brooks Range. Plus, it's smelly, messy, and a job many of us would never volunteer for, but Anchorage teams are sifting through your trash. From uneaten lunches to brand new clothes, we'll tell you why officials want to know what you're throwing away. And later, take a look at this giant picnic basket. 7 stories, to be exact. We'll tell you what it once contained and how it could be yours as the Morning Edition starts now. Good Thursday morning, everyone. Thanks for waking up with us today. What do you think's in the giant picnic basket?
I don't know, but you know, one thing I remember doing is going online and looking up some of the weirdest or coolest architectural structures like that.
So you've seen this one before?
I've seen something similar to it, but of course it takes us back to the nursery rhyme. I wonder if anyone's actually going to build a shoe. That'd be kind of cool. We are waking up this morning. We are seeing some widespread rain returning to southeast, some sunshine across south central, and we do have some fog as you head through parts of the interior. Now, temperatures today and through the close of this week will actually begin to warm for many areas of the state, with the exception of the slope. The slope will see those temperatures dropping near freezing for highs as we welcome in your Friday. Of course, today we'll begin to see those temperatures steadily dropping. But as heading out towards southeast this morning, we've got those temperatures in the 40s and the 50s. You can see rain building in. This rain is going to stay with us for a good portion of the day. Now, the second half of your Thursday will begin to trend drier across the panhandle, and we'll see that potential for up to a ½ an inch, if not locally higher amounts, as you head out towards southern parts of the panhandle. But that rain's still with us. You can see most of that activity out over the open waters of the Gulf of Alaska. But as that continues to churn off towards the northeast, we are going to see that rain building back in across the panhandle as we head through the rest of the day. So while southern parts of the panhandle sitting fairly dry this morning, you will see that rain returning as we head throughout the mid-morning hours. And we've already seen upwards of about 0.2 of an inch of rain out towards Angoon. You can see just 1/10 of an inch or just under 1/10 of an inch out towards Yakutat, while Sitka certainly has seen some higher amounts. So we'll continue to add on to this throughout the day. And again, we'll likely see an additional ½ an inch of rainfall, if not locally heavier amounts to be expected for parts of the panhandle. So coming up in my full forecast, we'll be talking about those wet conditions for southeast. Some good news, not as active with storms today. We'll still see that potential for storms, but it's going to be very hit or miss across many areas of the state. And of course, we got slow warming for most of the state by week's end, with the exception of the slope. So I'll have those details in that 7-day forecast for you coming up.
New this morning, multiple vehicle crashes caused a backup along the Seward Highway last night. You can see here the remnants of the first, involving 2 vehicles on fire that extended to nearby grass. The Girdwood Fire Department reported responding to the camper versus vehicle crash at mile 75, which is just a few miles past the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center near the Kenai welcome sign. Girdwood Fire reported Life Med responded for extrication, and the fire was under control pretty quickly. Just a couple hours later at 9 p.m., Girdwood Fire reported a second crash at mile 95, which is near Beluga Point. Details are limited on what happened there. No information was provided on any potential injuries for either crash. A dramatic video shows the tense moments on board a Wright Air Service Cessna Caravan just before it was forced down in the remote Brooks Range. That footage, thanks to Brett Philippi, capturing the dramatic emergency landing on video. That plane had just taken off from Coldfoot, headed for Anchorage Pass on Monday, with 9 passengers on board. The video captures the emergency inside unfolding in the cabin, and then the aftermath. Passengers stranded on rugged tundra, waiting for a helicopter rescue far from any road or village. The NTSB says the pilot suffered a minor injury, but all 9 passengers walked away without any injuries. According to federal investigators, the trouble started shortly after takeoff.
He indicated about probably 5-10 minutes after takeoff from Coldfoot headed to Anchorage Pass that the engine began to surge, and it also was making like a whining or a groaning noise. They dropped everything and went over and were able to get everybody safely back to Coldfoot within an hour or two.
Investigators are now working to recover the wreckage and will closely examine the aircraft's engine to pinpoint what went wrong. You can watch the full video live right now on our website and mobile app. And while everyone walked away from the emergency landing, unfortunately, not all end that way. And another Alaska plane crash, a California family is now raising money to bring home a husband and father killed in the mountains southeast of Cordova. A GoFundMe identifies the pilot as Mike Grimes. Troopers said an Alaska Air National Guard helicopter crew found the wreckage Friday afternoon, about 40 miles southeast of Cordova.
The little that we know at this point right now, this airplane flew up from Juneau, stopped in Yakutat for fuel, was either headed to Anchorage or to Fairbanks. We're not clear exactly where they were going at this point right now, but the airplane never made its next fuel stop.
Johnson said an NTSB investigator was headed to the remote crash site, but weather logistics and bear activity delayed the access to the area. A GoFundMe organized by Grimes' sister says he leaves behind his wife, Amber, and 2 daughters, Riley and Ryan. Turning now to Capitol coverage, Governor Mike Dunleavy released his signed fiscal year 2027 budget and about $90 million worth of vetoes. We'll get into those in just a second, but we did find that the $1,000 PFD remains the same, as well as the $200 energy relief rebate. You'll receive both of those in the same check. A spike in war-related energy prices this spring led to a one-time windfall for the state. The governor did make some changes to how he wanted that money spent. In a statement, the governor said this budget makes targeted, responsible use of a temporary revenue increase to stabilize school facilities and address energy costs. The governor left about $300 million in the budget in one-time funds for K through 12 education, split between operations, facilities, and maintenance. Here's a look at some of the most expensive vetoes. $20 million in one-time funding that lawmakers approved to be distributed to cities and boroughs across the state to bring relief from high energy costs, also driven by the conflict with Iran. Over $11 million directed toward increased Medicaid reimbursement rates. About $5 million in marketing costs for tourism and seafood sales was also vetoed. There's a lot more to that budget and a lot that could still happen. Political reporter Will Courtney shares details on how the legislature could respond next.
The state's operating budget is $13 billion. That's after the governor approved the legislature's request on what the operating budget is going to look like. That does include several line item vetoes, though, essentially slash marks out of these different provisions approved by the legislature. What do those line item vetoes look like? Well, they're upwards in total of tens of millions of dollars, and it does affect different items that we are looking into, one of them being education, pretty significant. We saw him taking action through line item vetoes last year, not as significant in this round. So the question is there a chance that some of this funding could be restored? The answer is yes. It is a significant threshold. The legislature has to approve a override in a 45-60 vote. Ultimately, that is the next step if lawmakers want to override any of this funding. Lots to develop on this story, and make sure you stay tuned to Alaska's News Source on our website, mobile app for a bigger breakdown. Will Courtney, Alaska's News Source.
What is in Anchorage landfills? Well, we know it's trash, but Lauren Maxwell shows us why workers are digging through hundreds of pounds of garbage for a bigger plan for all of that waste we throw away.
From the looks of it, it's a dirty job. Sorting through hundreds of pounds of garbage at the Anchorage landfill isn't something everyone would want to do, including Solid Waste Services Director Kelly Toth.
Are you glad you're not doing that?
I'm glad I'm not doing it, but I am so excited for the information that it's going to give us.
Toth says the waste characterization study, as it's called, is important to understand what is going into the landfill and what could be diverted somewhere else to save room here. The city also needs the information for a long-term waste-to-energy project it hopes to build in the next few years. Sarah Costaitis-Graham is the solid waste engineer in charge of the study.
Really, any place that your trash goes, I work with.
We asked her to show us some of what she's found.
So this is the lunch bucket.
There's plenty of food waste.
You can see it's anywhere from a whole uneaten sandwich to just kind of scraps.
Medicines.
These are things that we'd prefer to see go through a drug take-back program.
And often clothes.
We actually had a load come through yesterday that we had all brand new clothes with tags on it.
But sometimes she finds more personal items.
This one was actually dated from the 30s.
This one had a date
Yeah,
on it?
1939.
That make you wonder how they ended up here.
If we can keep it out of the landfill and do something beneficial for it and change our behavior and really start, before we throw something away, think, could this be used somewhere else?
Yeah.
Like, we should be doing that.
Toast says she hopes the study will help shed light on what's hidden in the landfill and maybe even lead to change. Lauren Maxwell, Alaska's news source.
The waste characterization study will continue throughout the week. The team will return 3 more times this year to take a look at what people throw away during different seasons. Still ahead on the morning edition, the Seattle Kraken are back on Alaska ice. The team's wildly popular mascot Bowie and forward Jagger Furcus laced up their skates with Anchorage kids. We'll bring you all the fun right after this.
We've got sunshine across South Central today with rain building in across Southeast. I'll have more on that, but first you can see we're losing anywhere from half a minute to nearly 2 minutes of daylight across the state. Sunrise at 4:22 in Anchorage, 3:52 in Juneau. Your full forecast is next.
Welcome back in this morning with another look at Brooks Falls, since we finally have those live cameras back up in Katmai, Aaron, but it seems as though the bears are quite shy right now.
Maybe they'll come out, here within the next month or so, because we do love showing them off, especially as they, like to perch on top of the falls, catching some of that salmon. We are waking up this morning. We've got some sunshine across South Central. We are watching those temperatures slowly warming into Saturday across a good portion of the state, with the exception of the slope, which will actually see a cooling trend. We saw highs in the 50s and the 60s yesterday. We'll see highs in the 40s and the 60s today. And then starting tomorrow, you'll see those temperatures dropping down near freezing for highs. Thunderstorm activity still expected across the state, but it does decrease, and we're watching that widespread rain returning to southeast throughout the day. Now, temperatures this morning sitting anywhere from 38 in Utqiagvik to 41 in Talkeetna, and then, of course, as you head across the Aleutians as well as out towards southeast, we got some 40s as well, but many areas largely sitting on the mild side this morning, with the exception of some parts of the slope, which are already beginning to cool off. You can see out towards Utqiagvik, it's 10 degrees colder, Coldfoot 10 degrees colder. So we're going to begin to tap into some of these colder conditions for locations north of the Brooks Range. The rest of the state, we will begin to see that warming trend take place as we head through the next couple of days. Now, many areas like Wasilla seeing 2 degrees cooler conditions, McGrath 4 degrees cooler. This is largely due to clearer skies, the rain that we've been dealing with, and of course those clear skies allowing any heat that we did see escaping back into the atmosphere. So that's why we do have somewhat cooler mornings as we head through the next couple of days. Rain out towards southeast. You can see that thunderstorm activity through the interior from the overnight hours. That continues to fall apart, much like yesterday. The western interior and the Brooks Range will have the best shot for seeing some thunderstorms. There's our trough to the north. That's going to continue to pull off towards the east as we head through the rest of today, and that's going to drive in some cooler conditions for the slope. So be prepared for that drop in temperatures. Out towards southeast, though, rain to be expected as we head through a good portion of the day. We're going to see the second half of the day with some dry conditions to be expected. So that is some good news there. Not an all-day wet event. In fact, as we head into our Friday, we'll see some isolated showers, but largely holding on to these dry conditions. It's really today that's going to bring most of that rainfall. And then as we close out this week and welcome in the weekend, we'll just see some of that scattered to periodic activity. Now, we'll still see that potential for anywhere from 1/4 to about 1/2 inch of rainfall with locally heavier amounts as you head through southern parts of the Panhandle. So not talking about a significant rainfall event. Again, we did see that rain starting to build in late last night into this morning. And that will stay with us through at least the mid-afternoon before drying out for many areas. So be prepared for that rain to stick around for a good portion of your Thursday. Now, when it comes to that 7-day forecast, we dry out again Friday into Saturday for many areas. We can't rule out some of the northern Panhandle where we'll hold on to that better shot for seeing some rainfall. And then as we welcome in next week, you can see those temperatures actually begin to drop. So Friday and Saturday looking to be the warmest days this week before we do tap into some of those cooler conditions. We'll hold on to some isolated to scattered showers starting next week. And you can see a bit more cloud coverage, which is actually going to keep temperatures on the cooler side. Some areas of southeast may see highs only in the upper 50s.
World Cup fever has struck Alaska these past few weeks and shows no sign of subsiding anytime soon, especially with the performances we've seen so far from the biggest stars putting on a show, the U.S. dominating, and Mexico featuring Alaska's very own Obed Vargas. Complete group play, a perfect 3-0 after defeating Czechia 3-0 Wednesday, just the 12th nation to do so. Vargas of the Cook Inlet Soccer Club entering in the 63rd minute, playing the remaining 30 minutes or so of the match in his second World Cup appearance after making history for the state with his debut last week. Vargas and Mexico are heading to the knockout stage, the round of 32, waiting to find out who their opponent will be on Tuesday. Meantime, the U.S. has also qualified for the knockout stage before their third and final group stage test as they take on Turkey and are also looking to finish unbeaten. Kickoff at 6 p.m. Alaska time. From the pitch to the ice, the Seattle Kraken have been carving up Alaska ice ever since the inception as the NHL's newest franchise in 2021 and are lacing up their skates in our state once again for another Kraken week as the popular mascot buoy and Kraken forward Jagger Firkus visited the ice chalet at the Diamond Center Wednesday. Earlier, Bowie and Firkus visited the Anchorage Hockey Academy for their annual camp, as it seems members of the Kraken staff are having just as much fun as the kids.
I love the Pacific Northwest already, but there's something just so special and magical about Alaska, and Anchorage specifically. Everyone here has been so nice and so welcoming to the Kraken. It's been really amazing to see. And the kids here are crazy in the best way, but it's been really, really great to see them just like be excited about Kraken hockey.
Kraken Week goes through the end of the week, of course, but Anchorage Hockey Academy summer camp runs through July 22nd. Thanks for listening to our podcast. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcasts from Alaska's news source automatically and stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting. Available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.